Hi, all my YouTube viewers. It is Crystal here, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to make another video. This video is going to be on the COVID-19 in the UK's, and I'm going to be using pandas. And so I'm doing it with the UK, and I'm doing it with our world in data. But basically, our world in data has stopped recording the COVID-19 statistics. So I'll just go as far as I can. So the first thing that we're going to do on this program, this Python program, is we're going to import the libraries that we're going to need, which is pandas to create a data frame, and process data, NumPy to create NumPy arrays and perform numerical computations, matplotlib to visualize the data, and seaborn also to visualize the data. And then after we have imported the libraries we need, we're going to use pandas to read the R world data. And then you can see that the last day of our world in data was April 14th, and now it's almost May. And I just read somewhere when I Googled it that our world in data is going to stop taking recordings of coronavirus. And the thing about our world in data is their data frame has every recorded country, we believe. So you check the info on this data frame and you'll see that the first four are object columns, and the date is also an object column, so that's going to have to be converted to a date. And then so what we're going to do is we're going to timestamp the date. So we're going to import date time, and then we timestamp the date. And so now you know that we've got a date which is timestamped. And so you check it here on info, and you can see the date is now timestamped, whereas before it was just an object. So we're going to check how many countries are in this data frame. So what we do is we take the location and we convert it to a list, and then we put all of the countries in a set. So these are all of the countries in our world in data set. And we print the length of the set is 255, which means there are 255 countries that it is recording. So we're going to do a graphical representation using seaborn and matplotlib, and you can see that these are the new cases per million. And the reason why you don't have many new cases per million in Africa is because they don't take statistics that much. If they took statistics that much, you would have a lot more new cases per million. And now we're going to check new depths per million. And again, you can see the depths per million. And then so with Africa, I think what it is they only take someone as having COVID as if they're dying from it, because you can look at the new deaths per million in Africa and the new cases per million. So the new cases per million goes to 1.8, and the new deaths go to 30,000. But you can see that still, comparatively, you have a lot more deaths in Africa than you had new cases. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the numerical features or columns, and we're going to put them into a list called numDiff. So here's all of your numerical features. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use seaborn to create a heat map. And you can see we have a really big heat map. And that tells you the correlation that all of the features or columns have with each other. So you can check the correlation here, and it's using Pearson correlation. And then now what we're going to do is we're just going to filter out the United Kingdom country. That's the only country that we want. So if you are watching this video from another country and you want to check the statistic, you want to check the data in your own country, then you just find the country in the list of countries that I have previously printed out, and you put it in the country. So now what we have is UK COVID-19, and it starts in January 2020 and it ends in April 2024. So we've collected data for over 4 years. So now we're going to check the UK. And so with UK.19, UK COVID-19.set index date. So your date is going to be your index. And you can see this is the new cases per million. And you can see that it peaked at around 2022. But around 2023, the new cases decreased. And I'll say around 2023, they stopped just arbitrarily making people take COVID tests. They just said that they only had to take a COVID test if they had symptoms. And then now you can still, you only have to take a COVID test if you have symptoms, and you can go to work if you want to. That's what I've heard, but I wouldn't do it. But, and I know an instance where I was really sick. I think a family member or an in-law gave me COVID, and I was really sick, and I didn't take the COVID test, but I was symptomatic, but I didn't report it to anybody. And since I didn't report it to anybody, it didn't go into the Our World in data, but I did get it. And then a few months ago, my boyfriend, who is very healthy, he had a cold and he was coughing, and it's unlike him to cough because he has very good lungs. So he took a COVID test, and come to find out he had COVID. And so I didn't take a COVID test, but I didn't feel great, but I wasn't coughing. So I don't know if I had COVID or not, but he had COVID because he took the test. And then now what we're doing is we're just doing a histogram COVID test, which you can use that information for whatever you like. And now we're going to check the new deaths per million. And again, the new deaths per million peaked in 2020 and 2021, and now they've started to taper off. And again, that's because the UK has stopped arbitrarily testing people. They only test people for COVID if they are symptomatic. And so that's why you don't have as many recorded new deaths from COVID as you had previously. And then here we created a histogram of the deaths from COVID, if you want to see that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a month-wise trend in 2022, because I noticed that it peaked. The new cases in COVID peaked in 2022. So I decided to look at that. So here we have January 2022 all the way to December 2022. And you can see that it peaked in January 2022, and then it decreased thereafter. And now what I decided to do was I decided to take a 6-month window from June 2020, well, not a 6-month, really a 2-month window, from June 2022 to August 2022. So again, you can see that there's a peak there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to seasonal decompose the time series, and we're going to use statsmodels.tsa.seasonal import seasonal decompose. And so we're not going to use the multiplicative. And the reason why we're not going to use the multiplicative is because there are zeros in the data, and you can't use multiplicative if there are zeros in the data. So we're only using the additive. And then we're going to plot it. So you can see the additive decompose, you can see the trend, you can see the seasonal, and you can see the residual. So now what we're going to do is we're going to extract the components of seasonal, trend, residual, actual values. And so you can see that we've done that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do feature extraction. And when you do feature extraction, we're going to make the features year, month, day, day of week, and weekday name, and date. So our features are going to be date, new cases per million, year, month, day, day of week, and weekday. And then so UK COVID-19 date equals UK COVID-19 with the features. And then, so we're going to set our index, and then we're going to print the last 5. So you'll see that these are the last 5 readings of new cases per million, which there are some zeros in there, and it gives you the day of week 2. And this is the time resampling. So we're going to take off the day of the week because it won't work with the day of the week, and then we're going to resample it for annual, and that's going to be at the end of the year. So that's resample at the end of the year. And then what we do is we plot it on a graph, and you can see that you've got the graphs at the end of the year, and you can see that the peak was in 2022. And now what we're going to do is we're going to resample it at the beginning of the year. The end of the year is A, and the beginning of the year is AS. And so you can see that this is your resampling at the beginning of the year, and you can see it's still higher in 2022 than anywhere else. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do some time shifting. So you can shift it one day, and that shows you how to shift it one day. And then that is to shift it forward. And now what we're going to do is we're going to shift it backward one day. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shift it 3 months forward so you can see what it looks like in 3 months. And we're going to roll it 7 days so you can see what it looks like when we roll it 7 days. Now what we're going to do is we're going to roll it 30 days and 60 days. We're going to roll it 30 days and 60 days because that's what I had to do to get the chart to work. So the blue is the 30 days and the amber is the 60 days. So you can see what it looks like when it's rolled. And now we're going to look for missing values. And in this particular data set, there are no missing values. And so that's it for coronavirus 19 for the UK. And you've got the code now, so you can do it for any country that you want to do it for. And this may very well be my last video on coronavirus because our world in data is no longer taking readings of the coronavirus. So it looks like they want to put the pandemic to bed. So I would like to thank all of my subscribers for supporting my channel. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. And I look forward to communicating with you in the next video.